Welcome back to the dojo, everybody. This is True Talk with True Motion, where a couple of guys talk about how to make the world a better place. Hopefully make your day a little bit better in the process. My name is Mark, followed by my co-host, Stephen.
Good morning.
Let's get things started. Well, this is your long-awaited return episode.
Long-awaited return.
You were abroad for quite a while, so Normally I'd be like, how's your week been? But, like, screw that nonsense. Like, how was your trip?
How have you been since I last saw you?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yes. So it was amazing. It was a very good trip. I had the opportunity that not many people get to go overseas for some time.
Yeah.
It wasn't for anything special. I did have a church function there that I attended, but a lot of the time it was just meeting people, learning, just living in Greece.
Mm-hmm.
Just to clarify, that's where I went. My mom's side is from Greece, so we had my mom on the show a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
She loved it because a lot of the things that she does, the Greeks do. They're very much a hardworking people because they're very poor, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So they do what they can, and they waste almost nothing. So
that is something that I do have to say. A lot of these other countries do a way better job than the United States out of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they can't afford to waste anything versus us, where we've gotten too used to the, I guess, abundance of everything.
We have an abundance, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's not anything to be ashamed of.
No, it's not. It's very, like, I very much would rather have an abundance of stuff and then instead of a lack of stuff.
Exactly.
No, it was interesting. I was having this conversation with my mom and my aunt just at home, and we were talking about how times have really changed, I would say, in the last 20 years. Because there was a time where we had vacuum repair shops.
Yep.
Remember that?
Yep.
Vacuum repair shops. Now, if your vacuum dies, you throw it away and you buy another one. We had TV repair shops.
That's right.
Where you had that same TV forever.
Mm-hmm.
And they were built sturdy and heavy to last. But now your TV breaks, you throw it away, you buy a new one.
That's why I'm surprised that cell phone repair shops are around.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I get it, because cell phones, they're not cheap, but at the same time, a lot of people only damage their screen, right?
Yeah.
So I think cell phone repair shops probably, and I probably should go into one because my phone is cracked.
Oh.
But they probably fix the screen and do stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I forgot. So we do have cell phone repair shops. But no, like you said, when you were in Greece, you just realized how nothing went to waste.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely nothing went to waste. They used everything.
Mm-hmm. Like, let's take, for example, I had the opportunity to visit a very small olive oil press.
Mm-hmm.
So they would bring in the raw olives on one side, or the brined olives on one side, and they would put them into this machine, and the machine would pit them. It would start to mash them, and then it would spin them, almost like a homogenization thing where all the oil separates from the rest of the olive.
Okay.
And then the pits is what they use to fuel the whole thing. They actually have pits that are dried, and they burn the pits, and that's a lot of their fuel. A lot of their fuel is using combustion.
As like fire.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's pretty ingenious, actually.
I spit out hundreds of olive pits a year.
Yeah,
and it's like, I don't care where they go; they go in the trash.
Exactly.
But
or you save one and you plant an olive
because
tree.
it's a process, and they're dealing with millions, almost probably billions of olives, because they have about 32 million trees on the Isle of Crete. So that's one of their islands. It's the biggest one, but just think every person in Greece might have some claim to some olive trees.
That's crazy. Because the island's how big, you think?
I would want to get you an accurate guess, and I don't have that. So you could look that up.
You could say it's probably smaller than Salt Lake City.
It's smaller, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd fit it lengthwise, you'd spin it, and it'd probably go up and down the whole valley.
Mm-hmm.
It would probably reach Ogden to Provo.
Okay.
Or more.
But 32 million trees on that island.
Yes.
That That's a lot of trees.
That's a lot of trees. And olive trees are everywhere. They're like they're almost like the weeds. Like they just grow everywhere because they want them to grow everywhere because they're valuable.
Yeah, you can use them. That's probably their number one export.
Yep.
Is probably olives and olive oil.
It's up there. Yep.
Dang.
They had some good olive oil, so they cook
I bet
everything
they did.
with it too.
I bet they did. A lot of people just drink it straight.
That's interesting. I've not tried that.
Yeah,
I have tried, and I don't recommend this for the viewers and listeners at home. Trying a raw olive. If someone offers you a raw olive, fresh picked, it's a trap. Don't do it. I had one of my uncles from my mom's side tricked us younger kids, tricked us youth, and we all took a little bit, and we puckered up. Our faces were it was very bitter.
I was gonna say, what is it? Is it bitter or is it sour?
It's bitter.
Bitter.
It needs to be brined. That's why they're all brined.
Yeah, to make it edible. Interesting. Yeah, no, it's wild to think that those just grow everywhere. Because I mean, one of the downfalls of living here in Utah is we don't have a very good climate for growing.
It's tough.
Growing like any type of like fruit or fruit bearing, because it'd be considered a fruit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fruit.
Any type of fruit bearing tree, it's very difficult.
I agree, but also there are certain ones that do work. I think citrus is the hardest one to do here because it's just too cold and too high in elevation.
Unfortunately, I love citrus.
I love citrus too, and if you like citrus, go to Greece because they have citrus trees everywhere.
Really?
It's like they're downtown. Instead of like those nice little aesthetic looking trees, they have citrus trees.
Really?
Yep.
Dang.
Orange trees just growing down the street.
That's so cool. And that's one of the things like my grandpa would always do when he lived in Florida. He would just pick fruit and bring it to work, or obviously they'd use it at home. He had a key lime tree.
Oh wow.
A grapefruit tree. Like he'd wake up, pick a grapefruit, and have it for breakfast. And it's like,
that's the life right there.
Yeah, it is. He had a banana tree.
A banana tree.
Tree.
That is rare.
Yeah. He had also. Did he have an avocado tree? I can't remember. But Florida avocados and California avocados are way different.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
The size of them. Because I've always really known California avocados. Yeah. They're relatively small and they're a little bit darker in color. Florida avocados are green and they're huge.
Really?
Yes.
How big are we talking?
Bigger than mangoes.
Bigger than mangoes.
Yeah. I remember a couple of years ago when we went and visited them down in Alabama, I offered my aunt to help make dinner. I go, hey, what do you need help making dinner with? She's like, oh, why don't you cube up the avocado? And I'm looking around for it. I go,
see this alien egg, and you're like, it can't be that.
Where's the avocado? Because again, I'm thinking California avocados.
Little net bag. With avocados,
exactly. And she goes, oh, it's right here. And I'm like, that green thing? And she's like, yeah, have you never seen a Florida avocado?
Is this your first avocado?
Like, that's the avocado? They're like, I've never seen a Florida avocado. It was massive. And like, normally you got to buy like 3 or 4 to feed a family.
Yeah.
It took one.
Wow.
And they showed me the best way to eat it. If you like avocados,
which I do,
the best way to eat it is you just cube it up, sea salt, avocado, and a little bit of lime juice.
Sea salt, oil, and
I'm sorry, sea salt, olive oil.
Oh, okay.
Sea salt, olive oil, and a little bit of lime juice, and you just eat it like that.
That sounds delicious.
It was so good. And we try to do that now. Like, we'll just buy some avocados and cube them up, put them in a bowl, and sea salt, olive oil, and Shanna's not a big citrus fan, so we don't just
hold
leave
the lime
like
juice.
That. Yeah, but oh my gosh, it's so good. So like being surrounded by olive trees and olive oil, that'd be amazing, and it probably tastes really good.
All the food tasted so good there, and it was pastries. Like they put everything in phyllo dough.
Yeah.
That really thin dough that basically you buy and it's refrigerated or frozen and you roll it out. It comes as like a spool.
Yeah.
They put everything in there. Sometimes they'll make their own phyllo dough, and that's a little thicker and that's very crunchy and that's really good. So you have your. It's interesting because you have your spinach pie, you have your feta cheese pie, you have your other cheese pies, you have your combined pies of spinach and feta, you have your leek pie, which is like, and all those are just delicious.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because the people are very healthy.
Yeah.
They walk everywhere.
It's all natural food,
And it's
too.
natural food. Like we joke about how that we were trying to find like Red 5 so we could just have some of our, Red 5 because as Americans we need Red 5.
Yeah.
We need our high fructose corn syrup. Like I'm going into high fructose corn syrup withdrawals.
Yeah.
Over there, but it was amazing because all the food was very delicious. I had mixed results with some of the people that I was with that were gluten free because they couldn't eat bread in the States, but yet when they were over in Europe, they could eat some of the bread because it was just different.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, I saw it firsthand.
Yeah. I think I remember telling you a story about that actor, Zachary Levi, where he was talking about foods and like how unfortunately the U.S. foods are really bad for us. And he said that he can't eat bread in the States because it just like makes him bloated and just makes him feel like crap. But yet he goes over to Europe and he can eat bread every day and he feels fine. It
is very interesting, and I think it's something that we need to fix. I will redeem us. The best steaks are in America. They don't have a lot of steaks.
Yeah.
In
I was going to say their main source of protein, isn't it lamb?
Yes. They do a lot of kebabs, like doner kebabs, so it's a mix of lamb, beef. And they do a lot of chicken and pork too.
Yeah.
Just because the smaller animals are easier
to maintain. Yeah.
So it was very nice to come back and have a steak.
Yeah. Steaks are amazing.
So there's my trip wrapped up. I could go into much more detail, but we've got quite a few things to cover today.
So for the viewers, what was the coolest thing you saw in Greece?
That's interesting, okay? Because I'll break that down because there's obviously the Mediterranean Ocean, the sea. It's not an ocean. The sea is amazing. It's temperate. It's warm. It's very salty. You could float in there.
Oh, really?
It's very salty. I don't know the exact.
Does it hold a lot of sea life?
It does. There are fish everywhere. A lot of fish.
Interesting. Okay. Even though it's really salty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That is interesting.
Oh, I would assume fish would probably be a big part of their diet too.
That is true. Yes.
Okay.
There's a lot of fish in the diet as well. So experience-wise, having that or having a private beach with that all-inclusive resort, that blew my mind. So I that was a great experience.
Because you're used to like the Pacific, I'm assuming.
Yeah, cold water.
Cold and dark, murky.
Yeah, you see a big mass of seaweed floating up. You get out of the water because you don't want to get tangled up.
Yeah, or you have no idea what's underneath you. That's a little.
It's interesting. It's a double-edged sword because yes, I like seeing the clear water, but I also see all the fish that are down there. And it's interesting because it's like now I'm looking around because I can see things. I'm not going to be taken by surprise, but they'll still get me if it comes up.
You're like, I'm not going to be able to outswim anything.
Yeah, no.
No, I would much rather be able to see than to just like, oh man, I don't know if something's underneath me.
But I was able to jump off of a boat into the sea.
Oh, that's cool.
That was cool. So that was like deep water.
Because you're used to like at least hitting bottom at some point, but then all of a sudden you go down in the ocean and you're like, I'm still going down. I got to swim up.
Yep. That was interesting.
Now, I've never been to the Mediterranean. I definitely would like to go there one day and just see the beauty of it. And I've heard it's a very pretty place and very fertile land. And it just makes you wonder. It's like, man, why are these countries that have such fertile land and beautiful areas, why are they so poor?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Why can't...
It's the government.
Yeah.
Greece is a socialist country,
Okay.
and they tax everybody so heavily,
Mm.
and yet where does the money go? Because they don't have new roads. Like
Yeah.
there's a highway in Crete that was supposed to connect the 3 big cities, like for tourism,
Yeah.
and no one wants to finish it, and the government wants someone private to take over and finish it,
Yeah.
and no one wants to do that because it's like, where's the return?
Yes.
It's like it's a money sink.
Yeah.
And no one in Crete wants the government to do it because they install toll booths everywhere.
Really?
Yeah, there's toll like every 2 or 3 kilometers essentially.
There's a toll booth. Man, that stinks.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see that kind of experience that. So that was my best experience, I think, having that opportunity and just seeing everything. With what I saw, with what else I saw, was the ruins. So
Yes.
the historical sites. So in
Mhm.
Athens, obviously, you have your Parthenon
Yep.
on your Acropolis. You have that whole mountain, and that still is amazing. It stands out. Yes, everyone has built around it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still right there on
That
the
hill.
mountain,
Yeah.
on the hill. And it's really good. It was very busy, like tourism, obviously.
Yeah.
Huge
over there.
industry in Greece.
Yeah. It's kind of hard not to be for just like the amount of stuff that they can show you.
No, it absolutely. It's like that's something that blew my mind. It's like how old everything was.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think, what were you saying, that there was something that you saw that, I mean, it was older than the United States.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah,
which isn't that hard to do.
it's pretty easy to do, but it's like, oh, this. So one of my tour guides took me and my family out on an off-roading trip. So we were in an off-roading vehicle, and so we were driving on gravel, and then we come through all these little towns.
Mm-hmm.
And he points out, he's like, that's, and who knows, maybe he's pulling our leg, but he's like, that house belongs to my grandfather, and it's 500 years old.
Yeah.
And people still live there.
Yep.
So it's interesting to just realize that we don't, like, there's life that goes on all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously there is, but you get caught up in your microcosm of traffic and Starbucks charging $7 per coffee and and all these little things that you're like, what is going on? But then you realize someone on the other side of the planet has the same things, and you realize, like, whoa, there's a lot of camaraderie here. There's a lot of people here.
Yeah, no, I think that's one thing that we've forgotten as a people, that we feel like we have so many differences, but we're all very similar.
Yeah, so
we all want the same things.
Yes.
We all want to be happy, healthy, and prosperous.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. So, like, when we have all this division that's going on, it's like I almost just encourage people to be like, quit trying to find the differences in us and start looking for what unites us and what we have similarities with.
Right.
Like, if you're a parent, you want a better future for your children.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an adult, you want to be happy and have a healthy.
You want to feel like you matter too.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to be in a spot where it's like, I'm making a difference.
You make a difference, yeah. Exactly.
So the ruins, the Mediterranean Sea, and the people that I met and I've got to reacquainted with in my little event there on Crete was amazing. I got to meet my mom's side of the family beforehand. Many people that were related to or friends with her relatives came over, and we ate so well.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm surprised. I both had to make I made a new hole in my belt because I was skinny, and then I had to like go back.
We also got to think you're eating like really good protein.
It was good. Yeah.
So like, even though you like ate a lot,
it was
your body like craved that good
my body
good food.
used it. Yeah.
No, that's the thing. It's like, shoot, if you overeat here in America, it's like you're
It's
in trouble for a
yes,
few days
yes.
because your guts are all in turmoil and yeah. But if you overeat there, you're like, God, I feel pretty good. I'm just a little sluggish right now. Like got like food fatigue.
I need to go sit on and bask in the sun while I
Yeah.
digest like a snake.
Exactly. And just speed up that digestion.
Yep.
No, yeah, man, it definitely gives you a deeper appreciation for where you live, where you come from. You and I were talking about this when you got back, and maybe you can elaborate it on a little bit more. Just the sense of national pride that the people of Greece had.
Oh yes. That was eye-opening for me because in Greece, and let's take a little history lesson since we're both huge history buffs.
Yeah.
Greece doesn't call World War II World War II. They call it the Greece-Italy conflict because in reality, Italy really wanted to take over Greece because of the resources and whatnot. And the islands were incredible strategic points during the global conflict because the Isle of Crete was an equal distance away from Africa, Turkey, Greece, and Italy. It's kind of just right there in the middle.
Yeah.
So Greece, the Greeks, they fought off the Italian invasion, and they beat Italy back. And so that was their day of celebration. It was like their D-Day, essentially.
Okay.
And then resulting history, Mussolini called Hitler and said, hey, I need you to take over Greece for me. And so then the Germans stepped all over the Greeks. And then Greece became occupied. But on that day, and that was the last day I was there, everybody was out in the streets. They had parades, and like all their school systems were out there, and they were waving flags, and they were like marching.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting. Like companies were donating, like you could get free lemonade. You could just get free stuff. They were giving it away essentially as a part of the outreach, as a part of the holiday. Like, it's interesting because, granted, we have a lot of sports here.
Yeah.
And
they just have really.
They have
soccer.
football. They have.
Well,
they call it
football.
Sorry, yeah, I've traveled abroad here. I'm just
kidding. You're educated.
Oh no,
you're cultured.
I can't say that. Yes, their version of football, which isn't right, but we'll give it to them. Soccer. They have probably 16 teams, like major teams in the entire continent.
Wow.
And they play each other, so it's like, obviously, it's like football here.
Yeah, no, it's a real big thing, and they take a lot of pride in their team. So it's like kind of like probably like cities.
Yes, it's like football clubs. But they also play other nations in Europe.
Okay.
So their professional team beat England while I was over there.
Oh man.
And they lost it. They were so happy. They were like out there honking their horns, running around in the streets at night, and everyone watches that. Everyone, they're all kind of in lockstep in the same pride nationally, because it's like we want Greece to be number one.
Yeah, they probably feel like how I feel about the Eagles.
It probably. I'm sure.
When your team loses, you're really sad for a day or
devastated.
Two. Yeah.
On the other side of the country.
It's funny because I listened to a video about a huge Eagles fan, and he was talking about how when the Eagles lose, he goes, when you're an Eagles fan and they lose, it's like a relative died.
Yeah.
And he goes, not like a really important one, but maybe like a third cousin or whatever.
Yeah.
Someone that you didn't really grow up with, but they're part of your family.
You got $5 from them on your birthday.
Exactly.
Once.
And they're like, yeah, so-and-so died. And you're like, oh man, really? Dang it. That sucks. And I was like, yeah, he ain't wrong. Like it is. And I guarantee that's how the people of Greece feel when their team loses.
Yep.
No, it's funny when we were talking about that, like you even said, and I agree with you, that you're like, you wish that was like that here in America.
Yeah.
And I do as well. It's like, I want people to be proud to live here and proud to be from here. Not like arrogant or cocky, but like understand that like we have it really good here in America.
Mm-hmm.
Like we really do. And we need to try to do our best to make sure that we take care of the people that don't have it very good here, to try to give them an opportunity to make their situation better. But at the same time, realize that it's like, man, like I'm proud to be an American, you know? And I think we need to get back to the whole, like, just recognizing that we're all, like, if you live here in America, we're all on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
We all want the same things for each other. Now, we may have different ways of trying to get that same thing, but we all ultimately want the same thing. Like, we want, like I said, you know, better education, better health care. We want the opportunity to make money and be successful. I mean, if money is equal your definition of success, but the opportunity to become successful in whatever endeavor you want to do. So, like, I think we just need to start. I hate trying to use the word like identify, but instead of saying that we are a subgroup and then Americans, it's like, no, we're Americans. If you're born here, you're an American. You know, because if you go anywhere else in the world, they don't classify themselves anything else but that country.
But that country, that's right.
You know, but yeah, for some reason here in America, we seem to want to have all these different groups, and when you ultimately have groups and you have quote unquote you make teams, you're ultimately going to have conflict.
Yeah.
So there was I can't remember what book I was reading, but they were talking about how the psychology of identifying teams changes outcomes of things. So they did a test with some boys at a boy camp, and when they did not separate them into teams, they all got along. They all got along. They worked together to accomplish tasks, this and that. But then when they said, okay, we have this team and that team, they tried to sabotage the other team to win.
Wow.
And you're just like, interesting. So when we classify ourselves as one team,
we get along.
I think we can get more accomplished. But if we're like, we're this or that, as opposed to just, like I said, Americans, man.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And I'm failing to bring up the exact quote, but yesterday we had President Biden's congratulatory speech to Donald Trump, and he said something very similar.
Yeah.
And
I applaud him for that.
I think that was a lot of the same rhetoric, but I thought that was, whether or not, you know, obviously he had a speechwriter, but at the same time, I thought that was a good message. It's like, we need to be on the same team.
Yeah.
We see each other not as a color, but as a neighbor.
Yes.
You know, it's not a blue. It's neighbor Bob next to me.
We're all under the same red, white, and blue.
Exactly.
So yeah,
I think that's exactly what, and they have. That's exactly what the Greeks do. Like, yeah, they have a little bit of island pride, a little bit. Like,
I would assume so.
I was born on Crete, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm a local.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they all assume that they're Greeks.
Like I think you remember you said this. It's like they're like Greek, then there's the other thing.
Yes.
So it's like I'm Greek and blah 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 blah, or I'm Greek from Crete.
Yes.
But they're Greek first.
Yep.
So
and they pick that out. Like they see other people that aren't from Greece, or they moved, or they immigrated there, and they make note of it. They're not. I didn't see any unfair treatment,
malice. Yeah. But
any malice, but it's like, oh, that person's
they're not from here.
That person's Albanian, or that person is from Turkey.
They're from Turkey. Yeah. They're Turkish Greek.
Right.
Yeah. But if you were born there,
it's like,
you're Greek.
Yes, Greek.
And honestly, you can tell that's been permeated throughout generations, because even like you said, your mom's from Greece. She still is like identifies with like the Greek ways.
A few of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Like being industrious, working, working way too hard.
Yeah, or they always say, like, my family's from Greece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because my mom has a trainer friend who's same thing. He's born in America, but his family came from Greece and Crete, actually. So he's like, he always refers back to Crete. So
when you can claim a particular island as like where your family's from, that's a proud talking point.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you had a great time. I don't want to say a once in a lifetime trip, but a very, very important. Like, man, not too many people get to do a trip like this. So that's fantastic. Way to go. But we're glad you're back. Glad you're back in the dojo, teaching, training, all that stuff. I know everybody started to miss you. Everybody's like, where's Sensei Stephen? I was like, he left.
He left.
To go to Greece, but he'll be back.
I got such a fun teaching at Academy this week.
Did you?
Good.
Did they harass you?
Oh, yeah.
Like, Stephen decided to join us today.
Of course. I said, well, when I'm back in the country, I'll be here again.
Yeah. When I'm in the country, I'll make sure to give you guys some time.
Yeah.
So, but fantastic. But all right, moving on with the show. Word from our sponsor.
Style into sensation. Gear up now before holds domination. Feeling frosty, don't freeze in your stance. Slip on our sweaters, give winter no chance. Hoodies to supplements, cold's got no shot. Our merch keeps you moving, your karate hot. Stay sharp, stay cool, like a roundhouse kick. In true motion, gear you're warm and slick. Break ice, break boards, make an impression. Our holiday merch is your new obsession. True motion's got your back, so don't delay. Shop now online, sweep the chill away. Stay sharp, stay cool, like a roundhouse kick. In true motion, gear you're warm and slick. Chill moves, cool vibes, true motion's the way. Gear up for winter by today.
Thank you, sponsor. All right, and it is the top 5. Okay, this week's top 5 is top 5 meals. And when I say meals, it's like type of meals. So
does a meal have to have multiple parts?
Or you can highlight the main part.
The main part. Okay.
But if you want to say the whole thing, absolutely, you can say the whole thing. So if it's like a main dish plus this side and this side, you betcha. Okay. So what do you want me to go first, or do you
go
got
first?
Okay, my top 5, again in no really particular order, but pizza is one. Like, you can never go wrong with pizza. Okay. Any type of pizza. I like any type of pizza. So I know some people are like, oh, I like this style or that style. Or I didn't realize how many different styles of pizza there are until I started watching Dave Portnoy.
Yeah.
And then there's like Chicago style. There's
Detroit.
bar pie. There's tavern style. There's New York, Chicago, and there's deep dish, New Haven. There's
stuffed crust.
Holy crap! I didn't realize there's that many types of pizza.
Pizza is pizza.
Exactly. And then burgers and fries.
Burgers and fries.
Yeah,
okay.
Can't really go wrong with burgers and fries.
It's a 2-part meal right there.
If anybody's like, "Hey, you want to grab a burger?" I don't know of anybody that.
I feel like you'd say yes.
Yeah, everybody would say yes.
No, sorry, I've already eaten a burger.
Yeah, but no, I would get another one.
You would?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would too.
They're like, "Hey, I just ate a burger, but you want to get another one?" Absolutely. Let's go get another burger. Brats or sausages. I like those. Okay. And it can be like in a bun, out of the bun, whatever. Okay. Like, one of my things that I like to do now is I like to smoke them. Put them in the smoker, and that's how I cook them.
Yeah.
So, not like actually smoke them.
That's what I was thinking. It's just
like a stogie.
Taking a chuff.
Yeah, no. Put them in the smoker to cook them.
Ugh.
Yes. Steak and potatoes.
Yeah. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. And I'm becoming more and more picky about steaks.
Really?
Yes.
How so?
I can't really go to too many steakhouses because, one, I feel like they're way overpriced, and I feel like I can do a better job of cooking my own.
There's nothing that beats a home cooked steak if you know how to do it.
If you know how to do it. Yeah, and I've got a special type of steak. I guess you could call it steak rub.
You have a secret formula here.
Yeah, it's not really that secret. It's really just salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and cumin. I like to put cumin. Smells so good. Mm-hmm. It's got such a good smell to it. And like how much of each, I don't know. I just cover them both sides. However much that is, that's how much it is. So there's like a teaspoon of salt, and no, I don't know. I just sprinkle it on there. And potatoes, that could be any form of potatoes.
Any form. Huh?
Yeah, I'm not picky. Could be mashed potatoes. I mean, steak and mashed potatoes
it's a staple.
It's so good.
It needs to be everywhere.
Yeah, or steak fries, or like roasted potatoes. Just steak and potatoes, any type of potatoes. And last on sandwiches.
Sandwiches, huh?
Yeah, and we've already done a top five sandwiches. So, yeah, if someone's like, hey, we're going to go get some sandwiches, I'll be like, absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
Or like, man, I don't know what to eat today. Sandwich. Super easy to put together.
Really perfect food.
Oh, yeah. And you can travel with it.
Travel as well.
Yeah. So that's my top five. I mean, granted, it was really hard for me not to put like tacos and burritos on there.
Yeah, why?
So.
I mean, I get that. All right.
Or gyros.
Gyros.
Yeah.
Greek tacos.
Yep.
Okay. Well, my top five is pretty close to yours, and in no particular order. I have also pizza up there. I do pizza and hot sauce.
Okay.
That's it. Really, because it's a cheap pizza that I end up eating, and so I add hot sauce to it to make it.
What's your
more
hot
refined.
sauce go to?
Any hot sauce.
Frank's
like
Red Hot.
Frank's Red Hot. Cholula. Melinda's hot sauce. Really, just whatever I can find. Sometimes I'll just put like Del Taco hot sauce on there.
All right. Because you're a cheese pizza guy, right?
Usually, it adds some enhancement to cheese pizza. Mm-hmm. I'll eat other pizzas. I had a really good Greek pizza.
Really?
Over in Greece as well.
Interesting.
That was really good. I'll eat Greek pizza. I'll eat hamburger pizza.
Okay.
Black olive pizza.
Yeah.
Again, there's so many kinds of pizzas.
Yep.
So, pizza's up there. Again,
I don't think pineapple should be on pizza.
That's an interesting take. What about anchovies?
Sort of. It's a protein.
It's a protein. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to non-protein things. Yeah. I don't think fruit should be on pizza.
You don't think fruit should be on pizza?
No. That's a very debatable hot topic in my household.
So peppers?
Yeah, peppers. Those are a vegetable, right? Or are those considered a fruit?
Considered a fruit, right?
Yeah.
It grows from the plant.
No sweet.
Nothing sweet.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Not your typical fruits.
Okay.
Like nobody would put a strawberry on a pizza.
Well, what about a dessert pizza?
Well, that's different. That's a dessert pizza.
Well, we should know what
But
you're
like
getting into.
A regular pizza, no.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And everybody's like, but it's the sweet
the
sweet and salty. It's like, no.
Ah, interesting. I
Yeah.
don't know if I share that, but I'll let you have it.
I know it's a very hot topic. Everybody's all like, oh yeah, you should put anything on pizza. Well, okay. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
So after pizza, I've got sushi.
Oh yeah, sushi's a good one too.
I will eat sushi almost every day.
I could eat sushi a lot too.
If my budget would allow.
Yeah, that was another one that was really close to the top list.
And for me, it's not like the fancy rolls. It's
anything.
It's the roll. It's the nigiri. It's the rice ball with the fish on top.
Rice with the fish. Yep.
And it's always salmon, sometimes tuna for me.
Really?
I will eat that all day. It's like sushi grade salmon is for me. There's like some specific taste experience that I just
umami.
love it. I just love it.
Yeah.
Steak up there as well. Steak and potatoes.
What's your favorite cut?
My favorite cut is filet mignon.
The tenderloin.
Yes, anything super soft. I will eat all steak. Again, that's how you prepare it.
Yeah, I agree.
So putting it in like a smoker or something.
And doing a reverse sear.
Doing a reverse sear on there, and then.
For those of you guys that don't know what a reverse sear is, it's where you bring the steak up to temperature, then you put it on a hot skillet to give it a crust.
Mm-hmm.
That's a reverse sear.
Reverse sear and butter right there. That's pretty good. That's so good. Mashed potatoes, probably my go-to potato type.
Mm-hmm.
Fries obviously are good, but I don't really make fries at home.
It's hard to make fries at home.
But
It's a big process.
There's a lot of types of potatoes too.
Yeah.
Like not just the russets and whatnot from Idaho, but there's like German potatoes,
Mm-hmm.
little red potatoes,
There's the
Yukon Golds.
The petite potatoes.
Yes, get like a handful of those and fry those in olive oil and season them.
Mm-hmm.
That's delicious.
We call them TikTok potatoes
TikTok
because
potatoes,
I found this recipe on TikTok.
Interesting.
When I was on TikTok. It's you take petite potatoes,
Mm-hmm.
cut them in half, and then score the bottom end. And in a baking dish, you melt a stick of butter and you put Parmesan cheese and then whatever kind of seasonings you want,
Mm-hmm.
and mix it up till it's almost like a paste.
Really?
Yep. Then you lay the potatoes on top, score side down, and you bake them. They are ridiculously good because it gives it like a crust on the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
and the top is soft. Man, they are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking for a fun potato recipe, that's a good one.
That's awesome. I guess to continue on my list, let's see. I kind of lost my train of thought.
So
now
you
that I
had,
was thinking about those TikTok potatoes.
Pizza, sushi, steak, potatoes.
Steak and potatoes.
Steak
that's one.
and potatoes. So you got two
That's a
more.
meal. Two more. Let's see. I'm gonna have to go with. I'm losing it here. Sandwiches as well. I'm gonna take yours as well.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna deny burritos and tacos in there, even though they're on their own thing, because I want a separate category. So any kind of food wrapped in a bread substance, I will eat.
Okay, so you'll consider hot dogs,
I'll consider hot dogs in there. I'm going back on what
hot
I've said
dogs,
previously.
tacos, burritos, anything that can be wrapped up
Yes.
in your hand and walk with.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I enjoy that, and so burritos are up there. I love
Wraps.
burritos, wraps. I had a lot of wraps, a lot of gyros.
Yep,
wrapped
gyros
up.
would be good.
And then finally,
Gyros.
I think turkey dinner. Turkey dinner's on my
Okay,
top
with
meal.
coming up with Thanksgiving.
With Thanksgiving coming up, I'm gonna.
We'll do our own top 5 Thanksgiving dishes.
Oh, man. Okay, so I'm
No,
not
but-
gonna
no,
go
no,
into
no,
that, but
you-
turkey
yeah,
dinner
I
is
was
one of
gonna
my
say,
top 5.
Don't elaborate more. Just but turkey dinners.
Yes.
Okay.
All you know
Dang,
is
that's
there's
really
turkey in
good.
there.
This year for Thanksgiving, I'm gonna try smoking the turkey,
Oh,
putting in
it's
the
good.
smoker,
It's pretty good.
but not whole. I'm gonna cut the spine out and flatten it out.
Mm-hmm.
What do they call that?
Butterfly?
Spatchcocking?
Spatchcock, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Because I've done that with chickens, and they've come out ridiculously good. So it's like, all right, well, turkey's basically just a bigger chicken.
Mm-hmm.
So let's
Pretty
do that this year. So, all right, cool.
That's my top 5.
There you go. Well, hey, if we missed anything,
What's your top 5?
well, what is your top 5? Like, if it's a Chinese dish, noodles,
I
like
didn't-
I'd even put any
I didn't
noodles
get
on
into
there.
the wings.
Like ramen,
Yeah.
wings. Oh, damn, wings. Yeah.
Honorable mention: wings
Yes.
and Chinese food.
I saw a funny joke. It was this guy who just recently passed, and he goes up to heaven at the pearly gates, and God goes, "Well, my son, you're about ready to get your wings." And he goes, Parmesan and barbecue, please. And he goes, "Get out."
Get out.
I was like, God, that was funny.
Yeah.
So, but all right, let us know what your top 5 is, and if it's close to ours or not close to ours, or if it's right on point with yours. But moving on with the next portion of the show. All right, now it's time for our Ask a Sensei's portion of the show. This week, we got some pretty interesting questions and really kind of thought-provoking ones at the same time. So first off, first question is, what helps you breathe easier at night? Or just breathe easier?
Breathe easier.
Yeah.
Get whatever's sitting on my chest off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
something's bothering you and you just have to
in both the literal and the mental aspects, is like talking about it, really.
yeah. That, it's very interesting that you say it that way, because I've had some interesting conversations with people about how I feel like nowadays men need to be more like men. And the person I was having this conversation with, they were taking a very hard stance on men need to be more vulnerable. And I was like, you know what? I think they do to a point. they need to know that they have an opportunity to express themselves and, like you said, get things off your chest and talk about issues if something's bothering them. But at the same time, they need to be careful on not being bitchy and not just airing out anything like social media. Man, I look at some posts on social media and I'm just like, oh, for men and women, to be honest with you. And I'm like, you just need to keep that to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that you don't have the right to like say it. You absolutely do have the right to say it, but you got to be careful with how much like complaining you put out online.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
I think you hit a really important point that with the online presence, you don't get immediate feedback.
Yeah.
You get people commenting.
Yeah, you do. And
And you
sometimes they do that to be like, oh, don't worry about it. You're
Yes.
great. Like,
The people that comment are either there to stroke their own ego
Yeah.
because they're going to say, you are okay, blah, 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 blah. They're going to be very
yeah.
empty but positive, or they're going to be trolls. And
Yes.
they're going to stroke their own ego by like,
You loser.
yeah, you've got a problem, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. So I think social media or the internet, when you have something that you are struggling about, isn't the best place to go for it.
Because
Because you need to talk to somebody.
Exactly. People need to express themselves. People do need to have an outlet of getting or dealing with their emotions. They can't just be these robots that just trap things deep down
No.
inside. And it was like,
That's how.
yeah. So like men do need to have the ability to express themselves. They need to be very careful on where and how and
Right.
who
Right.
they express themselves to.
That's why you need like friends.
Yeah. And people you trust in your circle.
Yeah, trusted people, mentors,
Yeah.
pastors, other things like that. People that have your best interest in mind.
Yeah, so it's because it's like, like I said, men need to be men, not just like the masculine part, but like they do need to have that. But I was talking to this person, I was like, man, do you want to know that if you were in a situation, your man would like step up and like defend you and this and that? And they're just like, well, I don't need them to. And it's like,
What?
well, that's fine that you feel like you can think that way, but don't you want him to defend you and you not have to defend him?
I see.
And then we just were going back and forth, and they were just like, well, you just have an old school thinking. And I was like, well, probably. I probably do, but I also feel like men need to be looked at as that rock if you need them to be. So now that being said, men, you definitely have to express yourself and deal with your emotions correctly, because if you don't, we all know what that leads to. So
We'll go back to the question, what helps you breathe easier? Being able to have that network
yeah.
is what helps you breathe easier. Because so many times we get caught in our own little worlds and we think like, oh, I'm the only one in here. Everyone else is out to get me, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
Yeah, or nobody understands.
Nobody understands.
Yeah.
And so that's where you start catching yourself in problems and realize struggling and having anxiety and things like that. But in reality, it's just you have to sort of break the fourth wall and talk about it
Yeah.
to whoever's around you, to the people that you trust, obviously.
I think that's a very good answer. What makes me breathe easier is knowing my family's okay.
Knowing your family's okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I can deal with just about anything else. Like I can deal with things like I don't really have much anxiety, but
Yeah.
I can deal with pain or problems or anything that really kind of comes my way. I feel like I have a pretty good handle on how to deal with things. Sometimes we don't deal with them the best way, but I mean that's life. But knowing my family is taken care of and they're okay, that ultimately helps me breathe easier, and making sure that I'm doing my best to making sure that they're taken care of, whether it be emotionally, physically, financially, whatever the need is. Like I want to make sure that that's taken care of. So that helps me breathe easier at night.
Yeah.
So, but all right, moving on to the next question. Our next question is, in your own words, what does self-worth mean?
That's a good question because I haven't really put it into my own words.
Yeah. We always
You always
hear other
think
words
you
and
hear-
hear other things.
Mhm.
But yeah, if I had to describe self-worth, it would be knowing your worth.
Really?
Yeah, cuz a lot of times we have and knowing your true worth. We either have an over inflated sense of what our worth is, or we have a severe underinflated sense of what our worth is. We're either too cocky or too high on ourselves, or we're too down and too depressed on ourselves. Especially for men. Like now, granted, I'm speaking for me. I'm not speaking for everybody, but that's something that I've noticed with myself. I'm either too high on my horse, and then all of a sudden you just get knocked down, or you're too low on your horse, too low in just everything, and like nothing's ever good enough.
Right.
So for me, if I feel like I have good self-worth, it's knowing what my worth is truly at, where my worth is truly at.
I get that, and I think that's good. I think having good self-worth is knowing like what you're right with. Are you right with God?
Yeah.
Are you right with your family? Are you right with your mentors? Are you right with your friends? Is there something that is standing between you two? Is there something that is like you're afraid to address? Do you see something that they're doing, or are you doing something that is like others might not associate that with something good or something? Because a lot of our self-worth, like you said, you can think of yourself as king of the world, or you can think of yourself as the lowest slave or whatever. And whatever you do, you're right.
Yes, exactly.
Because it's your
It's your
thoughts.
perception.
It's your perception. Your perception affects what you like you, and that's it. So there's that, but then it's like, where are you standing with those that you value, whose opinions you value?
Yeah.
Because a lot of our self-worth, unfortunately, doesn't come from ourselves. It's not, we shouldn't equate everything with exterior forces, but it's impossible to say my self-worth is perfect because I only listen to myself.
Yeah.
I'm a narcissist. So I think you've got that, like, am I thinking of myself truly, like what I can do? Do I know what I can do? Do I know my strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats?
And like you said, it's being honest
And
with
then
yourself.
being honest.
Like, yeah, like you said, are you truly looking at yourself and being like, taking an honest self-assessment? Like you said, are you the narcissist where you're like, no, I'm freaking perfect. Like, nobody can tell me anything. Right. Or are you the complete opposite where you're like, oh my God, everything is a dumpster fire.
I can't do anything right.
I can't do anything
I touch
right.
something, it falls apart.
Exactly. Or you're like, no, I'm doing okay, but here are some things I need to work on.
Right.
I think that type of honesty, man, we need to get back to that. And that self-evaluation is like self-worth and, understanding that you do things, like you said, you do things well, but also recognizing the things you don't do well so you can improve them.
You mentioned a point that I've discovered, and it's like we're such a pessimistic society. Like the whole story of Albert Einstein doing 10 problems on the board and getting one of them wrong.
Yep.
Everyone focuses on what's wrong.
Yep.
But you don't realize that that's still a 90%. That's still an A-.
Oh, that's still a passing grade.
That's still a really good grade.
Yeah, exactly.
And we need to take, I mean, we don't want to walk around with rose-colored glasses, but we need to address the negative with the same amount of attention that we address the positive.
Yes.
We can't give one more than the other because that will then skew our life.
Yeah, it creates imbalance.
Yes. If you're only focusing on what you don't have, guess what? You will not have a lot of things.
Yeah.
If you only focus on what you do have, you'll have those things. And you'll develop that level of gratitude, but you may not go exactly where you want because you'll be content.
Or you never have enough.
Right.
It's like that's one thing that, unfortunately, when you start lifting weights, you're never strong enough and you're never big enough.
Right.
So you're always in a constant state of like inadequacy, even though it's like you could be the strongest person in the room, but yet, man, there's still more to do.
Right.
So, yeah, I agree. And that's something that I tell all the students after they get their belt is focus on these two questions. Focus on what you did well, and then recognize what you can do better next time. Because if we only focus on what we do well, we're going to become cocky and arrogant and have a warped self-worth of how good we are. And if we only focus on the things we did poor at, then we're always going to be inadequate. We're never going to be good enough. And our skill level will ultimately suffer because we'll still be like, what's the point?
Yeah, we'll lose hope.
No, it's an interesting way of thinking of self-worth, because we just kind of, like you said, we've never really thought about it in our own terms. We always hear other people's versions, or like the textbook version, or we know the definition, but what does that truly mean for individuals? And it could be different it should be different for every individual, because everybody's different. So, yeah, but interesting question. Let us know what you feel like your definition, or what is self-worth in your own terms. I'd like to hear what other people have to say about that. That'd be a good one. All right, last one is what scares you. What scares you the most? And I'm not talking like, well, I mean, it could be spiders. I mean, who knows? Or like sharks, or
Right.
snakes.
Well, for those, I mean, obviously sharks. But sharks are a cool fear.
Yeah.
It's like they're cool.
Yeah, they're pretty neat. Like, I would never want to come in contact with one.
I'd like a nice thick pane of glass.
Yeah,
between
exactly.
me and the shark
with being an open ocean with nothing surrounding me.
Right.
No, absolutely not.
No.
But yeah, if someone was like, "Hey, let's go cage diving and look at great whites," I'd be like, I'd probably crap myself, but be like, "Let's do it."
Let's do it.
Because they're thousands, if not millions of years old. They're some of the oldest living creatures on the planet, and they're mysterious. They're the ultimate predator in some aspects.
In some aspects, yeah.
Like, I've seen videos of someone's got a camera on the surface, and they go down 3 inches, and there's a huge shark right in front of them, but you cannot see it on the surface of the water. Now, if you were 10 feet up looking down, you could probably see it. But if you were right on the surface of the water, you had no idea it was there.
Hey, that scares me.
Yeah, and then there's another video of a guy scuba diving, and he's scuba diving, and literally out of nowhere, a shark swims up behind him and basically hits him in the back of a great white. Swims up behind him and hits him in the back of the head.
Does a punch?
Kind of. It's like
punch?
his lower jaw kind of clipped the back of his head.
Oh.
And the dude ducked down and freaked out, and I was all like, "What?"
Yeah, the water would be warm in a certain region around me.
Yeah. No, we always have fears of creatures and things.
I get the basis of the question.
Yeah. But what ultimately scares you?
What ultimately scares me? Making sure that, I'm afraid that I won't make an impact, really. I'll just go through my life and live and
being irrelevant.
Die and be irrelevant and just be another person that was there. I mean, that's good because maybe I have a warped skew of things, but I really like helping other people.
Yeah, me too.
I really like being involved with other people. And so being able to help other people is important to me. So not being able to do that is
tough.
a fear.
Yeah.
Is I'm afraid that it's maybe I'll make an impact to my friends and family and future loved ones, but I want to be able to.
What long-lasting impact?
What long-lasting? What legacy?
What legacy will you leave?
What is my legacy? And my fear is I don't have one.
What will people say about you when you're gone?
Exactly. We talk a lot about students that have left True Motion. We talk a lot about students that have gone separate ways. Maybe they've gotten to black and they dipped, or maybe they had other things. But it's like we still talk about them. That's somewhat of a legacy.
Yeah. Well,
But-
or will they remember us?
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily us, but will they remember what they learn from us?
Right.
Like, because truthfully, like if people forget who I am, like me personally, I don't really get too upset about that. But if I had contact with them, hopefully they remember something I was able to teach them.
Yes. That's
They could be like, God, I can't remember his name, but I remember this one person that blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
yeah. And I think that that's important to have a legacy of being able to make an impact in someone else's life. And it's a fear of mine that I can't do that.
Well, the best part about it is that's something you can control.
Exactly.
So most of the time, most of our fears are things we can control.
Yeah.
Minus
Surprising.
like falling.
Surprising. It's like,
Well, we can even control that. Like if you have a fear of heights, don't go up anything high. Stupid.
exactly.
You know, it's
What are you thinking?
It's very easy. But
Your fear of airplanes, just drive everywhere.
yeah, exactly. So like most of the time when we have a fear of something, we can control that something by just not being around it or not involving it. Or like I have a fear of snakes. Well, then don't go into the reptile section of the zoo.
Exactly.
Or don't buy a snake. Or don't go into the jungle.
Exactly.
Like don't go where snakes would be. Don't move to Australia.
That's insane.
Yeah. No, it's funny because my biggest fear is like basically the same question as number one, not being able to take care of my family or protect them. So like my biggest fear and what makes me breathe easier are the same thing almost, but just different contexts. So making sure my family's okay makes me breathe easier. But what scares me the most is not being able to take care of my family. Whether that be physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, whatever my family needs at the time, not being able to provide that for them, that scares me the most. So, because like I've been teaching here in South Jordan for 16, going on 17 years now, and so it's like, okay, I can control the legacy thing because I'm able to teach people. Which you do too. I mean, you're starting to teach a lot of people as well. So you're starting to be able to control that narrative. What people think of you is how you treat them and what you teach them and all that stuff. And you're doing a very good job of that. So hopefully that doesn't scare you too much longer because you're able to.
I'll have a new fear later.
Yeah, exactly. We always do. And it changes as you get older. Like when I was a young man and didn't have a family, obviously I could have cared less about taking care of a family because I just had to worry about me. I just had to worry about me.
Numero uno.
Exactly. So like my biggest fear would be like not getting a certain something or like failing.
Not getting enough money.
Failing was a fear for a long time, but until you figured out that failing's just a part of success.
Yes.
So it's like you have to fail in order to get better. Yeah. So, but let us know what your biggest fear is. Is it a creature or an animal of some sort or a situation? Like going on with that, like taking care of my family. It's that being unprepared. Not being able to combat something. Like when COVID happened and we had those earthquakes, like within weeks of each other. Remember that?
I remember that, yes.
Yeah. Like all of a sudden I was like, damn, we're woefully unprepared for if like something happened.
Wow.
So like when we went to the grocery stores and everything was gone.
Right.
I was like, man, if we didn't have any extra food, like we'd be screwed. So I was like, okay, I'm never going to feel that way again. So it's like, then you start buying surplus and stockpiles and like reserve foods and like your 72-hour kits and all that stuff. So it's like, now it's like, I'm not worried about that. It's like something really goes down, I'll be okay. I can take care of it. So, but let us know what your biggest fear is, or if you do have a big fear.
Send us your biggest fears.
Send us your biggest fears. But moving on with the show is our fight scene. So we've got this week we've got Daredevil versus NightWing.
Ooh.
So both of them have similar characteristics, but very different ones at the same time. So, for those of you guys that do not know these characters, Daredevil is a Marvel character that has lost his sight, but is an attorney.
Echolocation, supernatural hearing.
Yep, he's got advanced hearing, smell, touch, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, he's got a little bit of that echo type seeing where he can see through the, kind of like a bat, see things from the vibrations of the sound and all that stuff. And then you've got Nightwing, who's a DC character who is the former Robin.
First Robin.
Yeah. Dick Grayson.
Yep.
So
they both fight with sticks, too.
Both fight with sticks. Both known for their acrobatics and aerial stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, a little bit different at the same time. So, all right, we've got Daredevil and Nightwing in Hell's Kitchen. Hell's Kitchen.
Considering that Gotham is just the cartoon version of that, it's pretty fair.
It is pretty fair.
I think it's pretty fair. But I'm going to give it to Daredevil.
I am too. The fact that he's got those superhuman sensory abilities, man, gives him the edge.
It does.
And I don't even feel like we need to go through all 3 rounds of this. It's like,
well, I think, I didn't look it up, but Nightwing sticks, don't they make noise? Aren't they vibrating sticks? Like they're electric or whatever.
They probably do. I mean,
so it's that sound. So he's hearing every time a swing
moves.
is coming at him.
Yeah, not only that, but he can hear heartbeats up to 2 miles away.
I will give Nightwing this, that he trained under Batman.
He did train under Batman.
So Batman has an answer to every superhero, right? He has a contingency plan.
He does have a
So maybe round 1 goes to Daredevil.
Yeah, round 1 definitely goes to Daredevil in Hell's Kitchen just because he knows the terrain, knows the environment.
That's right.
All that
We'll
stuff.
see what happens in round 2.
Round 2 is in Gotham City.
Gotham City.
So, like you said, he did train under Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Batman does have a contingency plan for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure he would have a contingency plan for someone with super senses.
I feel like
abilities.
we'd allude to the Boys episode where they had the similar Daredevil character that has super hearing, and then Homelander just does a supersonic clap and blows his eardrums out.
That is true.
That might happen in Gotham.
He could probably clink his sticks together and they have some sort of supersonic sound wave, and then all of a sudden Daredevil's
it's oversensitized.
Yeah,
he's
I was gonna say blind, even though he's already blind. He's
already
already blind,
yes.
But now he's sensory blind.
Yes,
because he can't hear, and then that's one of his greatest assets.
That's right.
So, all right, that's a good argument.
Round 2,
I will give round 2 to Nightwing. Now they're just in a cage, cage fighting.
Okay.
And Daredevil's gonna whoop him.
Yep.
Because I don't even think Nightwing would get close to him.
Probably not.
So, I mean, I think they're both incredible fighters. They're definitely honed their skills.
Mm-hmm.
But when you add in the fact that, he could hear and sense things before they happen,
right,
or as they're happening, and he can react to them in just a quick a time. Yeah, I don't think Nightwing's even going to stand a chance.
I don't think so either.
So I've got Daredevil and a 2-1.
I've got the same
2-1 fight off.
Yep.
So I thought it was interesting because they are both similar fighting styles.
Mm-hmm.
They both fight with sticks. They both are very acrobatic and aerial. But
they're both
in the long run, Dick Grayson is just a human.
Yeah.
I don't want to say your average person, but there's no quote unquote superhuman abilities about him.
He has the tech.
He's got a little bit of the tech, and just like Daredevil with his advanced hearing and touch, and all that stuff. I mean, like he can sense when it's going to rain before it rains because he can feel the drop.
He can smell it. He feels it in his knee.
Yeah, he feels it in his knee. He can sense the drop in pressure. He can feel the drop in temperature. It's like, yeah, okay, you're going to be the average acrobat.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so we got 2-1 Daredevil over NightWing. So who do you guys got? Did we make the right choice? Do you feel like you would disagree, agree, whatever? But let us know who you would think would win between Daredevil and NightWing. So moving on to our final thoughts. Our final thoughts, like we always like we've been saying for the last few episodes, is, you know, making an impact. Okay. So when you, especially now that, you know, like a certain type frame in our society is done with, meaning the election.
The elections.
The elections are over. Thank goodness. So whether it doesn't matter who you voted for, if your side won or if your side lost, remember, we're all Americans.
That's right.
Treat each other with kindness and humanity, and see how you can make an impact in their life. Maybe giving them a helping hand if no one else has, or not teasing them if everybody's teasing them, or, you know, giving them a smile or saying hello. Like, you know, the simple gestures tend to go a long way. So just make sure you go out there and make an impact on somebody's day. So any final thoughts for anybody, for the people?
For the people, I think continue to listen. I'm going to plug our show.
Yeah.
I really enjoy doing this, and I really appreciate all the people who comment and share.
Yeah, absolutely. Share it with somebody. Share it with the people that you care about.
I think so.
I definitely think we can make a long-lasting impact and a legacy.
Our legacy.
With being able to reach people that may not train with us.
Yes.
So, yeah, go out there, share the show, comment. Yeah, and just, you know, show your support, and more importantly, make an impact in somebody's day. So
that's right.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will see you next time.
Kick it with us next week.
Bye-bye.
Want to support the show? Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe for more episodes, and snag your favorite gear from the True Motion merch shop. From all of us at True Talks, thank you for your support, and kick it with us next time.